Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Put.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today?
Good.
How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time
arrived.
to demand the
First
truth.
Contact
It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time to
arrived.
demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio.
It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Today is the 8th of October. You can see that we have a full moon. We had the eclipse last night. Hope you got a chance to catch it. It was pretty cool. Aries is our sign today. Our moon sign, our sun sign is in Libra. One of the things that pops out to me, first thing, just being aware of this, a full moon in Libra, full moon in Aries, is important to understand the idea of Aries. Aries is the ram, Aries is a fire sign, Aries is the emperor. All these are creative aspects. However, Aries can be very warlike. We think of the term or the name God of War as Aries. So if the energy is not utilized properly, there could be war. And with this full moon that just took place, it just can agitate that a little bit more. So it just depends where people are in their mindset. So we just want to make sure that we are using our energies for leadership and understanding and reasoning, as opposed to getting out of our reason and going into situations that we don't want to be in, like anger, aggression, violence. Now, have a trine coming up between the moon sign Aries and Mars, which these two work together. It's its natural planet, its natural sign. Mars is all of this energy that we were talking about. But there's a nice positive trine, so there's an opportunity for there to be a good creative release of how this energy is used. And then a little bit later, we have an expansion of that energy with Jupiter coming in here at 9:20. And then we go from there into a period of the day where it says void of course, which means that we've now passed this last aspect after Jupiter. The last aspect of what Aries is going to be for the moon sign, getting ready to go into Taurus, and so there's kind of that lull of the day as we go through this void period, waiting to move into the next moon sign. Shortly after noon, there's a square, which is a lesson between Venus and Pluto. Deep transformation, so our imagination is going to come up against a lesson, a block with deep transformative energies. And then later this afternoon, Mars and Jupiter. So all of that energy, again, is being expanded. First as Aries, and now Mars itself. But it's a nice good trine, so there's a good opportunity today to really use this energy to do something very positive. We just want to make sure that we are expressing it from that positive perspective. Let's not get caught up in that negative, and that's the only thing I see it's really concern. Alright, numerology for today is a number 7. That's not number 7. This is number 7. Okay, let me show you how I arrived at that. You should know how to do this. We got the 1 plus 0 plus 8 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 4. All that adds up to 16. 1 plus 6 equals 7. So our numerology for today is the number 7. 7, as we know, is associated with the astrological sign of Cancer. Also with the tarot card of the Chariot. Reminds us that we need to put on our armor. When we look over here at the Chariot, we see the Chariot has part of its aspect down here in severity, in the area of Mars. Right here, this is the area that can get warlike if the warrior is so inclined. But the warrior needs to go back and protect oneself from all of the emotions that draw us into the violence and the anger and stuff. And if so, then the warrior will move along truthfully and without a lot of hassle. I brought up the card of the Chariot for today so we can take a good look at this. The Chariot is the inner self. The Sphinxes are the senses. The reins by which he drives them, which you will note are invisible, represent the mind. The Chariot itself is the body and is drawn by the Sphinxes. Advancement in occult work depends upon the realization of the facts portrayed in this key, for it is only when we understand these facts that we allow the real self to guide our personalities. The charioteer is a victor, and the key represents the conquest of illusion. The idea of enclosure, protection, etc. is suggested in a number of ways. The Hebrew letter chet means fence or palisade. The sign Cancer attributed to key 7 means crab, an enclosed crustacean. The chariot, the armor of the rider, the wall in the background, the battlements of the towers are all symbols of the same idea. The starry canopy represents the celestial forces whose descent into matter is the cause of all manifestation. On the shield in front of the chariot is the Hindu lingam yoni, symbolizing the union of opposite forces. Above the shield is the winged globe. The globe is the sun. The wings represent the alchemical element of air, which carries the power of the solar rays. The wings represent the alchemical solar rays. The wheels represent rotation or cyclic activity. The scepter, a combined crescent, the figure 8 symbolizes the combined powers represented in tarot by the magician and the high priestess. All right. So this is our numerology for today. Current moon phase, as we know, is a full moon, making its way now down to the new moon yet in 2 weeks. Tells us that Altair is the brightest star high in the south at nightfall. Very far to its lower left is Formalhaut, almost as bright. The Mayan Oracle, we're at a 5-tone day. 5 tones are called the overtones. Position right here in the wave spell of the storm. I empower in order to dream, commanding intuition. I seal the input of abundance with the overtone of radiance. I am guided by the power of magic. So it's the overtone night, guided by the monkey. Space weather. Solar wind is currently at 348.5 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is 3, so we got a little bit of activity going on. No coronal holes, but we did have noticed that the 7th and the 8th we'd be feeling some solar wind. It's a good look at the moon if you didn't get a chance to see it last night. It was pretty cool looking. M-class flare possibilities at 5. X-class is 1. Geomagnetic storm activity is dropped down to 15% and lower in the mid-latitudes and 15 to 20% in the high latitudes. And today on the Jewish calendar is 14 Tishri. Erev Sukkot is also a name or what is being looked at today, celebrated. It says it is customary to prepare the 4 kinds for use on Sukkot, binding the 3 myrtle twigs and the 2 willow twigs to the palm frond in the Sukkah on the afternoon preceding the festival. Daily thought. Every moment that your soul inhabits the world, she can provide delight to her maker above. After 70, 80, maybe 120 years, the soul ascends to a place above, a place of ecstasy as great as the soul can receive without dissolving into nothingness. And what is that ecstasy? No more than a tickle of the pleasure of God received from her when she was in her place below. And as you can see on here, tomorrow begins this day here called Sukkot. It's the festival. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. We'll get into a little bit more details because it's an important time. In the meantime, UFO News is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. First story here. This is the story of a triangle UFO shape flying over El Paso, Texas, the 4th of October 2014. Here's our objects in question. Right here, a new video of an unknown lights and triangle formation hovering in the sky above El Paso. Witness stated this footage was taken out of my camera from inside of an apartment complex in El Paso, Texas. Starting at 7:16 p.m., the second set of footage was taken starting at 7:29 p.m. I believe these to be unidentified flying objects because of the strange ways that the lights in the sky were moving. There was no perceivable wind. That day, the lights took a triangular look upon triangular view formations throughout the footage, and at a few points one appears to go up while the other goes down, and one goes down while the other goes right. At certain points, the UFOs began to hover until disappearing into the night skies. I don't know what these lights were, but I think Chinese lanterns is the incorrect answer for some reason, and the local police stated that they hadn't had any reports of golden nights or Chinese flying lanterns. Alright, let's take a look at the video here. There's our object in question, and you can see, oh yeah, there's quite a few of them. Alright, I'm just going to kind of move through here. 9-minute, 13-second video. Alright. El Paso. Moving on from El Paso, we're going to look at Peru, the 5th. I have a video here that just states a green flying saucer in Lima, Peru. 5-minute, 12-second video. There we go. We've been seeing the green one lately. Maybe there's some significance to why we're seeing the same type of green one. Alright, let's move from here. Next we're going to go up to the surface of the moon, and here we have a UFO flying along the surface of the moon. This is a great capture of a UFO moving across the moon surface. Crow777 of YouTube caught it, and as he shows in the middle of his video, the UFO does not move in a straight line, as do objects in orbit. This rules out lunar or Earth orbits. This is more evidence that aliens do have a base on our moon. The eyewitness stated that the moon object is a bit unusual as it does not fly in perfectly straight line. It is the first time I filmed an object that looked like this and not perfectly straight. Could mean it is not an Earth orbit. Alright, let's take a look at this. See for ourselves what is going on here. 3-minute, 59-second video. Okay. There we go. This comes to Crow777. Okay.
Here's footage with the new equipment. A helicopter came in at about 300 feet and hit me with a spotlight while I was using the scope. The scene hasn't been great because we can tell that.
Looking for the object here.
And I've done tons of these.
There we go.
And I'm not sure what to think. He may
Right
not
there.
be in orbit, and if that's true, that is a very straight trajectory. Upper
Okay.
right,
Here we go again.
Really small until I zoom in on them, but you can see them there. And when I saw
Alright, follow the
this
arrow.
live feed when I was monitoring on the
There it goes.
and I'm not sure what to think. He may not be in orbit. And if that's
Okay.
true, that is a very
Interesting.
weird thing. Because usually
Up
we
by the
draw
moon.
a straight line.
There we go again, another one.
The trajectory of these things.
It's a 5-minute video here.
Straight, which means they're in orbit. Earth orbit. Getting something in lunar orbit would be a bit like the Holy Grail.
Alright, here we go. There it is again.
So when I get it in the editor,
Interesting. Okay, so there is activity up at the moon. Now here we have Ohio. There's where Ohio is, if you don't know. Interesting video of a bright object hovering in the night sky above Lorain County in Ohio. Witness said, cats woke me up and my girlfriend around 5:30 a.m. When I went out to go pee, I just looked out the window and saw this very brown object just sitting up in the sky. So I went downstairs and got the iPad, recorded it for 10 minutes, which I'm including in the footage, with both have been witnessed at 2 different UFO sightings over the past few years. So there it is. It's a 10-minute video. 10-minute video of this particular sighting. Alright, leave the video links available as always. Check it out. Let's move to the next story. This is a Candace witness takes 2 incredible UFO photos. That is a good shot, isn't it? A Valley-centered Kansas witness has finally provided us with 2 very clear photos of an elusive triangle UFO, according to MUFON's case in the witness reporting database. The person who filed the report stated, I got this picture from a friend that took it. The orb is the first thing you see, and then to the left you notice a triangle-shaped thing. There's the triangle. There's the orb. The picture is amazingly clear. There's even some sort of designs in the ship that are visible. Very good shot. Okay. And the last one here is a piece over at UFO Digest. Alright, the state of the world. Switch on the news and you can see record-breaking protests, historic uprisings and riots on once calm streets. There's no doubt that growing income inequality is an issue of central importance. This is not a quote from a recent article in a magazine for social change, but the opening statement of Chapter 2 in the recent Outlook of the Global Agenda 2014 report from the World Economic Forum, best known for its annual meeting of the global elite in Davos. World leaders are finally becoming more aware of the dangers of the amounts and widening gap between rich and poor, and that this trend cannot be allowed to continue unchecked. It was also reflected in President Obama's State of the Union speech in January 2014. Today, after 4 years of economic growth, corporate profits and stock prices have rarely been higher, and those at the top have never done better, but average wages have barely budgeted. Inequality has deepened. The cold hard fact is, even in the midst of recovery, too many Americans are working harder than ever just to get by, let alone to get ahead. He then went on to outline his policies and to address the dangers inherent in the growing disparity in income and opportunity. One way the people with a heart and with some common sense often express their disbelief about humanity's dysfunctional ways of relating to itself and the planet is by taking the perspective of an outsider. If a Martian were to visit the planet, followed by an observation of the way humans have complicated life for themselves or other creatures that make no sense on any level beyond a profit motive. Perhaps it is not surprising in this context that it has taken world leaders so long to recognize the dangers engendered by these social inequalities. While many readers of these pages may be well aware that we've been visited and are being visited by people from other planets, many might not know that these same visitors have repeatedly voiced their concerns about the way we have chosen to organize society around the need to earn money for daily living and pursuing the dream of limitless wealth, no matter if it kills the planet. For instance, in 1954, during his sojourn on the mothership, George Adamski was told by his host from space, if man is to live without catastrophe, he must look upon his fellow being as himself, the one a reflection of the other. After many years of sustained contact with the people from other planets, Adamski added in December 1964, to have a healthy and prosperous society, that which causes the most trouble must be removed. As we all know, the stigma is poverty in the midst of plenty. It is the chaos of sickness, crime, and the many evils that we now know. A civilian consultant with the military in the late 40s, Daniel Fry, was contacted July 4th, 1949, by a saucer pilot who landed in front of him in the desert after Mr. Fry had missed a bus home. At some point during his contact, which he claims included a ride in the saucer from California to New York and back, Mr. Fry was told, "With freedom from want comes freedom of fear, and your civilization would be safely past a critical point in its development." Likewise, Truman Bethram, a road worker from California, was contacted in late '52. His contact did not involve a trip in the saucer, as he called the saucer, but that he was invited aboard for discussions with the captain, or even on 7 or 8 occasions. Hold on, pardon me. Of these, he said he got the impression that the cooperation among all of these people is an inherent feature of their lives, and poverty is unknown. Also, that what we call the riches or wealth is certainly more evenly distributed than on our earth. As a result, the captain tells us that there are no criminals or con men on their planet, which he identified as Clarion, not even speculators. If we had them on Clarion, it would soon be of small worth, and we'd have mansions and slums as you do. And it goes on. There's more stories like this. And as we know from the channeled messages that we continue to hear at the end of the show, the message is all the same. We need to come together. We're separating. We're letting silly things pull us apart. We're getting caught up in all of these rumors and these wars and this violence, and we need to change our ways. So there you have it. That's the UFO news. I'll be back momentarily.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Let us continue on. So, on Wednesdays I've been talking about Atlantis. I'm going to switch gears for today, and next week get back to it, because there's something important coming up, and I think that we want to take some time to take a look at this. So, last night was the lunar eclipse. It was the second of 4 that are occurring. This is part of the lunar tetrad. Now, these lunar tetrads, as you saw yesterday from the chart that I showed you, have been going on. This is the 8th one since the crucifixion. So they're not happening on a regular basis. They're pretty rare. And the reason that they seem to have an important significance is because of their connections on these holy days, the high holy days in the Jewish calendar. So we just had this lunar eclipse. Today is the day of the eclipse itself, and today is the eve of Sukkot, which is the festival or the Feast of Tabernacles. So I want to show you about the Feast of Tabernacles because there's an important significance to what it is all about. So let us start off with, well, let's see, I wanted to show you something else here. I want to pull up this other page first to show you. Okay, here we go. The Feast of Sukkot begins on 15 Tishri, the 15th day after Yom Kippur. It is quite a drastic transition from one of the most solemn holidays in a year to one of the most joyous. Sukkot is so unreservedly joyful that it is commonly referred to as a Jewish prayer, referred to in Jewish prayers, literature, and Zman Shimanchityo, the season of our rejoicing. Sukkot is the last of the Shalosh Regom, the three pilgrimage festivals, like Passover and Shavuot. Sukkot has a dual significance, historical and agricultural. Historically, Sukkot commemorates the 40-year period during which the children of Israel were wandering in the desert, living in temporary shelters. Agriculturally, Sukkot is a harvest festival and sometimes referred to as Chag HaAsif, the festival of ingathering. The word Sukkot means booths and refers to the temporary dwellings that we are commanded to live in during this holiday in memory of the period of wandering. The Hebrew pronunciation of Sukkot is Sukkot, but it is pronounced as is in Yiddish, rhyme with bukas. The name of the holiday is frequently translated Feast of Tabernacles, which, like many translations of the Jewish terms, isn't very useful. This translation is particularly misleading because the word tabernacle in the Bible refers to the portable sanctuary in the desert, a precursor to the temple called in Hebrew Mishkan. Okay, so it lasts for 7 days. 2 days following the festival, Shemini Atzeret and Simchat Torah are separate holidays but are related to Sukkot and are commonly thought of as part of the festival. Okay, so a little brief on that. Let's go back over here. Here's another. You got just a brief there. The seventh feast given to the Israel is called Sukkot. It is the Feast of Tabernacles. Sukkot is observed in the fall from the 15th to the 22nd of Tishri. During this time, many Jewish families construct a sukkah, a small, hastily built hut which meals are eaten throughout the festival. The sukkah is used to remember the huts Israel lived in during their 40-year sojourn in the desert after the exodus from Egypt. Later, after Israel entered the land of promise, Sukkah was associated with the fall harvest and came to be known as the Festival of Ingathering, the Chag HaAsif. At the end of the year, certain customs were incorporated into the observance of Sukkot, including decorating the Sukkah, performing special wave ceremonies of the 4 species, circling the synagogue in a professional while singing hymns, and reciting various Hebrew blessings to sanctify the festival. While the Torah states that the Sukkot is a 7-day festival, an additional day called Shemini Atzeret is also added. And since Sukkot marks the end of the agricultural year, a further holiday called Simchat Torah was added to celebrate at the end of the Torah reading cycle for the year as well. Sukkot is celebrated for 8 days in Israel and 9 days in the diaspora. In Israel, the 8th day of Sukkot combines the Shemin Atzeret and the Simchat Torah, whereas in the diaspora, the 8th day of the holiday is the Shemini Atzeret, and the 9th day is the Simchat Torah. During the first and last days of Sukkot, no normal work is permitted. The intervening days of Sukkot are called Kol Had Moed, half holidays, during which usual work activities are permitted. Since it is an 8-day festival, there will always be one Sabbath that occurs during the festival. Because we are commanded to rejoice during the holiday of Sukkot for the blessing of God's provision and care for our lives, it is considered especially important to give charity during this time of year. Okay, so recall that the preparations for the High Holy Day began at the start of Elul, when Moses was said to have ascended Mount Sinai the second time and stayed there 40 days until Tishri 10, the original Yom Kippur. After this period of Teshuvah, or repentance, Moses descended the mountain and gave instructions according to the building of God's Sukkah, called the Mishkan or Tabernacle. According to Jewish tradition, the material for the Mishkan was collected during the days before Sukkot, though the tabernacle itself was not actually assembled until Nisan 1. Later, King Solomon is said to have dedicated the temple during the festival of Sukkot. Here we have a timeline. Okay, so as we've been going through, we've gone through all of these processes here, all of these days. Past Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur was just recently, and now here we are today. Okay. Since it immediately follows the days of awe and repentance, Sukkot represents the time of restored fellowship with the Lord. In fact, the Mishkan and later temple represents God's present indwelling amongst his redeemed people. Okay. Now, and it gives instructions on how you go about doing things, what the 4 species are that you utilize. Okay. Now, here's what is fascinating about this. Was Jesus born? When was Jesus born? Was it really on December 25th? According to Luke 1:24-26, Mary conceived Jesus in the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy with John the Baptist. This means that Jesus was born 15 months after the angel Gabriel appeared to Elizabeth's husband, Zacharias, and informed him that his wife would bear a child. According to Luke 1:5, Zacharias was the priest of the division of Abijah. It says that Gabriel appeared to Zechariah while he was serving in the priest in the temple. We know from the Talmud and other sources that the division of Abijah served as the priest during the second half of the 4th month of the Jewish religious calendar, which you have put it in late June. 15 months later would place the birth of Jesus in the 7th month of the Jewish calendar. That would be in the fall of the year, in either late September or early October. His conception, not his birth, would have occurred his conception, but not his birth, would have occurred in December of the previous year. The 7th month of the Jewish calendar is the month of the Feast of Tabernacles. In John 1:14, speaking of Jesus, has the Word said, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, full of grace and truth. The word dwelt that is used here is the Greek word skeno, which literally means to tabernacle. So when God came to earth to tabernacle among men, it appears that he timed his arrival in the Bethlehem manger to coincide with the Feast of Tabernacles. This was only appropriate for the Feast of Tabernacles, is the most joyous of all the Jewish feasts. It is their feast of thanksgiving. The total meaning of the feast will not be fulfilled until the Lord returns again to tabernacle among men for 1,000 years, while he reigns over the earth from Mount Zion in Jerusalem. Isn't the word of God marvelous? All right, and then what we get down to, he says, I think it is fair, not overtly critical, for us to admit that the date chosen by Constantine and Pope Julius I to celebrate the birth of Jesus was not based on any good historical or biblical evidence. Let us look for that overlooked evidence in the historical account of the birth of Jesus recorded by Dr. Luke. And so here we go into breaking down what we're talking about here, the clues. So basically, if you follow the clues of when Mary was given her information from the angel, when Elizabeth is pregnant, when we had the teachings in the temple, and so on, we can follow all these dates back that show, and here's the 24 courses. It says much of the world celebrates the birth of Jesus Christ on the 25th of December, but can that actually be the date Jesus was born if determined from Scripture? The question will be explored in some detail and will yield a result that is quite intriguing. So again, you see passages. You see when we can look at the temple, and it talks about in the passages that they were in. Zechariah was in for a certain period of time. We can track that back to exactly when he was in, and that way we can track and say, okay, if he was in the temple at this time and Elizabeth was pregnant at this time, we can look and see when it was. When we find out when John the Baptist was born, now we can take a look further because the Bible tells us that Jesus was born 6 months later, and so on. There's more examples. Okay. And then it says the conclusion. So if you are following the above reasoning, and there's a lot there, I'm just going to leave it for you to go through. It's hours worth of research. If you have been following the above reasoning based on the scriptural evidence, a case can apparently be made that Jesus Christ was born on the 15th day of the month of Tishri, on the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles, which corresponds to the September-October time frame. And here's another grid showing all of this. Okay, and then there you go. So, what is all this saying? Basically, that this Feast of Tabernacles, which tonight is the eve of, and tomorrow is the first day of, this Feast of Tabernacles is a day that is possibly the true birth date of Jesus Christ, not December 25th. December 25th would have been the time when he was conceived during that Hanukkah time. So here we have a perfect festival, Feast of Tabernacles, at the time that fits in perfectly with what the Bible suggests is the time when Jesus was born. I thought it'd be important to take time out from the Atlantis stories to point this out, that quite possibly, according to biblical text, tomorrow is the birthday of Jesus. And tonight is tonight that we would usually refer to as that Christmas Eve, the eve of the birth. So, something for us to think about and consider as you go through the day, and I know many of you, like myself out there, really like the stories of Jesus, like to follow along what he has to say and understand the importance of his life. I think you might find this equally as fascinating as I do, and take time out to celebrate, to rejoice. This is a time of rejoicing. And it's interesting that this occurs right during these blood moons, because there seems to be some significance to this. So we'll see. If you remember yesterday's article, it showed the history of events that occurred during the blood moon tetrads in the past, and they all seem to be very significant times for Israel, for the world, for the people of the world. And now here is another interesting one coming up, again aligned with the birth of Jesus. All right, so there you have it. And let's move from there into an article here from In5D. Ascension, altering the world from within, by Rachel Mason. For years you've been hearing about ascension and awakening. Perhaps you are still confused about what exactly is ascending and to where. What if our consciousness is the hidden spiritual realm both quantum physics and spiritually tell of? By altering our brain waves and ways of experience, we can alter reality. By going deep into ourselves, we are able to touch the worlds. It is our frequency that is ascending, merging ourselves, time, and other dimensions. Before we can go forward, we need to back up a bit. Stories from most cultures tell of the Golden Age, the perfect world in ancient times where the gods ruled. Aztec, Incan, Mayan, Hebrew, Hopi, Native North Americans, Australian originals, Aboriginals, as well as most spiritual teachers tell of 4 or 5 ages or worlds in our global history. In the same way, stories from science describe the 4 or 5 primary brain wave states that relate to our consciousness. The qualities of each world correspond to similar qualities in our brainwave states. If these dimensions are unconscious, then there must be realms that are solely personal and some which are our collective unconscious, similar to a personal and networked hard drive. The collective memories would cross all cultural barriers and live as vague recollections in the back of the mind somewhere. In psychology, these so-called archetypes present a way we have of understanding something. The idea of archetypes was elaborated by the great Carl Jung, student and contemporary Sigmund Freud, long-time student of spirituality, Kabbalah, alchemy, Hindu, Buddhism, and comparative mythology. His writings and therapy are based on the idea of archetypes. These archetypes, such as mother, child, trickster, hero, creation, are the primordial, from where we all originated. These ideas speak to our ancient collective history and ongoing influences. In the end times of Ascension, the cosmic energy is shifting. Our solar system is starting to come into alignment with galactic center and higher, stronger energy vibrations. The veil between the physical and spiritual worlds is lifting, allowing us to see a much larger reality than we had previously known. It puts in our face all the things that were deeply hidden, personally and culturally. It is progressively easier to see the corporate-controlled food, drugs, clothing, money, air, water, energy, health, thoughts, and speech. Where just a few years ago the idea was laughed at. The endless current movies about the end of the world, hell on earth, supernatural scares, alien contact, and ancient mythology are all things from our collective ancient past. As well as the veil lifts, our conscious, unconscious, and collective unconscious merge, and we come face to face with the ancient world, literally, as numerous archaeological digs are verifying history and understanding the truth of where we came from. It is this archetypal memory we want to access. The ancient past has many names. Across many cultures we became. The Hebrews speak of Atik Yomin, or the Ancient of Days, just as the Australian Aboriginals describe dream time as time creation. Dreaming relates to theta waves, that of the unconsciousness, healing, and true creation. When we remain in the delta and theta states, we have access to these ancient days, creation, and part of the collective consciousness, so we can better understand the ancient world and use it to heal. While these worlds have existed in the ancient past, we can access them from within. Each of the primary brainwave states corresponds to the four worlds. Okay? There's a nice little grid for us here. And if you notice the worlds, Atzila, Bria, Yetzirah, Asaya, these are the worlds that we've been looking at in the study of Kabbalah. So they are saying that each one of these periods, while these worlds in the past, we can access them. Each primary brain wave corresponds to one of the four worlds. Okay? Delta, theta, alpha, beta. And here's a little description of that. It says beta is 13 to 30 hertz or cycles per second, focused or peak concentration, heightened alertness, and visual acuity. Alpha is from 8 to 13 hertz, unfocused unawareness such as casual walk or light conversation. Theta is 3 to 7 hertz, sleep and states of light meditation. And delta is 0.5 to 0.3 hertz, deep sleep or deep meditation. The senses and awarenesses are withdrawn from the external world and focused on the inner. Since the brain is between us and the cosmos, altering one will automatically alter the other. We have the ability to alter consciousness, to experience the world differently. Many rituals and practices can be seen as methods to do this, increasing awareness of ourselves and our world. Anything that puts our brain into different wave frequencies will alter consciousness, and anything that alters consciousness will change our brainwave state to correspond. And different ways that we know to change this are through meditation, various vibrations, rhythmic sounds, computer-generated sound waves can be used. The act of sex is rhythmic and it changes as there is in the moment the climax has been documented that the theta brain wave, accounting for the oneness felt with our partner in the universe. And then another one, drugs and alcohol. Shaman have used them for a long time. They can alter, give us a feeling of bliss, but also results are not always so predictable. says, as the ascension process naturally removes the veil, it raises our own vibration and alters our brain waves. We will be forced to go too deep within ourselves to face our own in the collective darkness. As our brain waves change, we will have access to other worlds, other times and dimensions, perhaps even meeting those spoken of in ancient myths. All right, very interesting indeed. So we are all working on the ascension process. This is what we've learned. This is what the messages coming to us over and over are telling us is taking place, that there's something about us that is ascending. Doesn't necessarily mean that we are ascending off the planet, but that our consciousness is ascending so we can understand more of what we're doing down here on this planet and how to evolve and help this planet move forward as the planet helps us move forward. We're all working together. All right, that brings us to our channeled message for today. This comes to us from Morpheus.
Morpheus.
By Robert Measure, October 4th, 2014.
Morpheus.
Greetings, with love and the ambience of the heart. It is the journey to the heart, cosmic children. For those of you who do not know me, I am Morpheus, or as is the name I use to bring you these communications through my lower self, Robert Measure, who is the physical incarnation of I. I am a galactic teacher, I am you, and we are one. I bring you these messages of the alchemical nature of the structural ever-forming macrocosm. I am a cell of the macrocosm, as are you, and it is up to the higher vibrational light to transmit and stream integrative intelligence into the lower realms of the creative consciousness. Beautiful children, the physical body is a tool for the great work. All the great beings, the embodiment of highest light, reach levels transcendental through streaming the ocean of light. Dear ones, to allow the flow, give as you receive. Through the illumination of spirit, memory channels are harmonized and designated to the sacred memory of the macrocosmic mind. The synchronization of resonance between the lower, higher, and cosmic selves results in a synthesis whereby each level of the structural identity becomes charged and evolves. Each level needs to be harmonically synchronized. Social reform denotes the collective transformation of macrocosm that occurs due to the interaction, reaction, and reform of the microcosms and subsystems that take place in the macrocosm. Essentially, the progressive merit of spirit responds to and migrates through and with the collective management of social reform. This resulting in repose for the purpose of waveform reaction. Repose is the reduction of frequency, which allows the responding waveform to implement its stream-inducing reaction, which results in stasis. Stasis is the procedure and necessary format for higher dimension light to integrate uninhibited and unaffected by the turmoil of interjection. Purity of the recipient is imperative and compulsory for light assimilation. The capacitors and sub-channels of microcosm need to harmonize to develop signal coordination. Stasis is submissive and malleable, reactive, and totally eclectic. So you see, stasis is the ultimate receptive and transformational state. As the universal macrocosmic energetic metric is forever evolving through involution, it warps in fractal manifestation, compression of universal energy formation and productivity is resulted. As compression is imbued, assimilation and macrocosm wave combustion births integrative microcosms. Due to the nature of infinitude, infinite microcosms are produced simultaneously. Microcosms are the reflective and innate constant of macrocosm. Density is the result of fractal compression, as stasis is the requisite of expansive immateriality. The spin dynamics of cosmic streaming conduits induce the gravitational sine waves of the elements. These spiraling vortices underpin the cosmic ebb of macrocosm. They are spiritual warps responsible for the vibrational manifestation of the elements. The centrifugal and centripetal forces are coordinated by these warps, guided to and orbiting from the universal intelligence matrix, superimposed by the metagalactic core. It is important to understand the aphorism as above so below. You are the universe, you are ultimately the macrocosm. Beautiful children of Gaia, you are ready for the next array of downloads, and this is due to the manifestation you have been implementing. Continue with your great work and the streaming will become ever increased, faster and beautiful. Center yourselves, beloveds. Until next time, dear ones. Morpheus.
Alright, good message. As always, that brings us to our meditation for today. So let's jump over to it. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and exhale. Take another deep breath, and exhale again. And again, inhale, and exhale. And just breathe and feel the rhythm of your breath as you inhale and exhale. And get in sync with this rhythm and feel it as it flows through your body. And as you feel the rhythm of your body, the rhythm of your breath, you feel in synchronicity with the universe around you. You feel calm and peaceful. And as you explore the feelings that come through the vibrations and the rhythm of your body, the rhythm of the breath, and the energies that affect your body, you understand the importance of being in sync with the energies around us. And you understand the feelings that come from being out of sync. And so we work to be attuned to these energies, to be aware that they exist, the fire, the water, the air, all around us as we move through the earth. We feel the subtle energies of fire, the ideas of life as they move through the winds. We feel the emotions and the water of life flowing around us. We feel the air breathing upon us, inspiring us. And finally, the physical world beneath our feet and the body that we inhabit during this time. And we acknowledge all of these energies that are around us, in us, outside of us, a part of us. And as we are aware of them, we are able to be more effective walking through life. For the more that we are aware of, the more we understand who and what we are, and what we are truly about. Let's imagine ourselves moving forward in life now into this time of celebration. We've passed through the days of atonement and the times of forgiveness. And now is the time of celebration. Celebrating our freedom from bondage. Celebrating salvation out of destruction. And understanding this is a new opportunity to rejoice and celebrate who we are and all that we have. So as you go forth in the world today, go forth with thankfulness. Thankfulness for all that we have gone through to bring us today. Thankfulness for all that we have experienced to bring us to this moment of understanding. And thankfulness for all that we shall be provided for in the future. So let us go forth sending out gratitude to the universe, along with love and light to all that we meet today on our journey. Let's imagine our subconscious mind continuing on that journey, and let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale, and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That is our show for today. Thank you very much for being here. Have an awesome day. Have an awesome day being out there. Take time to go through some of these notes and some of these articles about scriptures and about 15 Tishri and this festival, this Feast of Tabernacles that is now before us, and take a look and understand that tomorrow is an important day. For tomorrow not only represents all of the escape from bondage, but it represents the time of the birth of Jesus. And though there is no glorified holiday or something that is going on to celebrate this in the physical world, those with ears let them hear, those with eyes let them see, so that we may truly give honor to that which we understand is really taking place. That's it, my friends. I'll be back tomorrow. Till then, I love you. Keep loving each other. Talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.